Welcome to Creating Connections podcast, episode 153. I'm Vicki Musney.
And I'm Mitch Taylor. And today we get to welcome a great guest to the show. This gentleman has been a nationally recognized speaker and trainer for over 28 years, helping Fortune 500 companies and small organizations alike to improve communication skills, teamwork, innovative thinking, leadership, and customer service. He's been a professional entertainer since his first comedy show at the age of 9. He's the executive director of Stevie Ray's Improv Comedy in Minneapolis, a company that's provided training and entertainment since 1989. This guy is also a nationally syndicated columnist for the Business Journal newspapers and the author of, count them, 9 books. He lives in Minneapolis with his wife and stepdaughter. He learned his quick thinking skills trying to win debates with them, but it has yet to work.
Please welcome to the program, Stevie Ray. That was nice and easy.
What are you talking about? This also speaks to a much bigger issue.
Providing personal solutions through understanding people. This is the Creating Connections podcast with Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vicki Musney.
It's so great to have Stevie Ray on the program. I've been a follower of Stevie's for quite some time. I believe we met originally at a conference in Minneapolis area that John Young from Disc Jockey News lined up in the late 2000s, I do believe. And in your bio you gave earlier there, it said you're the author of 9 books.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm working on number 10 right now. So
nice.
So cool.
Ironically enough, I went in my library and I found one of them.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Speaking in public without sweating in private.
Such a great title.
I love it. Yeah.
I get lucky sometimes.
No, that's a good one.
Good content.
Can you talk about the new book?
Yeah, actually, most of my books are business related. So I usually write according to what my clients are looking for. So I have a book about professional networking, a book about how to conduct productive brainstorm sessions in the workplace, because usually they're done incorrectly and people don't know the psychological tricks that happen in idea creation that either shut the brain down or keep it going. Nice. And so I've got in the Speaking in Public book about how to organize and deliver presentations. So every now and then I like to write just something that I want to write instead of something that I think might sell. So and I've really for the last 15 or years or so focused more on corporate training than I have my background in comedy and entertainment. But I still do perform whenever I get a chance. So my most recent book is called The Birth, Life, and Sometimes Death of a Comedian.
Nice.
And it's about the whole journey from being a kid to being a professional to being kind of getting on in the profession. And the one that I'm starting to work on is actually based on my experiences being a landlord. Yes, I've owned homes for many years that I rent, and the title of the book is called About the Rent. Or
nice.
Or It Was Like That When We Moved In. And it's just a compilation of all the stories and situations I found myself in over the last 30 years of being a landlord.
Love it.
From a landlord's perspective, not, not the whole, we're all evil and we kick people out into the street that people see on TV and the movies.
You're not a slumlord? No?
Oh, Lord. I actually get housing inspectors walking into my houses and they say, "You actually rent this?"
Right.
Yeah, because they're like mini palaces. I take very good care of them.
Good.
So,
Nice.
Good.
So
I'll contact you if I ever move to Minneapolis.
oh yeah, look it up. And that one's just going to be for me to write, and we'll see if I ever sell it or not.
Sure.
Fun, no. Okay, well, so the whole life, death, and birth, life, and death of a and sometimes death of a comedy. Let's go back to that one, because just reading your bio that we shared with our viewers a few minutes ago, I know there's a story behind this first comedy show at the age of 9. And as a mother of 4, I have to hear that story. Would you share?
Well, when you grow up, you always have your thing. And once you find out what your thing is, you kind of hang on to it. And having an older brother who was good at schoolwork and building things, and a younger brother who was adventurous, and a younger sister who was caretaking and teachy, I had to be something, and I found out I was funny. And one night, the parents said, we're going to the YMCA for a family talent show, and everybody is going to have some kind of family talent. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do a skit. Now, in the professional world of comedy, they're called sketches. If you want to talk to somebody on Saturday Night Live or places like that, they don't call them skits. That kind of paints you as an amateur. But parents call them skits.
Yes.
And they said, it's going to be a funny skit. And Steve, you're going to be the punchline. And I got to be the center of the skit and the main character, and I got the punchline at the end. And as a 9-year-old kid, to see a room full of adults laughing their heads off, I thought, yeah, this is a good way to be.
That's awesome. So did your parents write it?
No, it was one of those that my mom kind of knew from around the campfire days.
Okay. It was like a Girl Scout thing or whatever, and something that got passed down. Okay, cool.
She just heard about it and said, okay, this will be great. And my little sister wasn't born yet, so my 2 brothers and I did it. They were okay doing it, but this wasn't really their thing, being the limelight.
They went along with it.
They went along with it. I was 100% on board, saying, okay, when can we do another?
Right.
That's awesome.
My parents did not encourage me to go into comedy.
I've heard that from most of my friends that have made careers out of comedy. It wasn't because of parental encouragement or direction.
No.
I see that theme.
I went to college actually based on some tests that I took in school that showed that I had an aptitude for teaching as well as working with people in a one-to-one thing. I was originally going to be a speech therapist in the schools. So I went to college for speech pathology and was at it for a good 3 years in college. And in the middle of my junior year, working with clients in a clinic and the whole 9 yards, I said, I don't want to do this. So I dropped it. And
but it sounds like that initial assessment of teaching and working with people, you've embraced those traits.
Exactly.
Those were accurate, but you had to mix
I get paid more now than I would in a school.
Right.
I believe it.
And I actually created my own degree to study comedy. I paid my own way through school, so my parents had no say in the matter. And I approached the university to do something they didn't allow back then, which was create a new program.
Awesome.
They allow individualized programs within a major, but I created a whole new major.
And which university was that?
Moorhead State University here in Minnesota.
Got it.
Wow.
And it involved input from multiple departments: speech, theater, English, creative writing, business, economics. The whole picture was overseen by the university board of directors.
That's awesome.
Because I wanted to study basically the psychology of humor and how it works in everyday life, as well as how it works on the stage. So in order to do that, you have to have a lot more oversight than if you got a biology degree or phy-ed.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that phone call when I called home and said, guess what I'm going to major in?
Right.
That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Not a happy call.
At some point, I find that almost every adolescent, teenager, young 20-something has that, that rift, if you will, and change of direction,
Yep.
It's interesting. And I think it's so awesome that you found your passion at the age of 9.
Mm-hmm.
And you realized that you could have power over a room of adults at the
That's a
age
big
of
thing.
9.
That's
you know?
huge. That is a huge thing.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
you don't get power over adults ever.
Right.
You know.
And then you transformed that into a brand new program at Moorhead State University. And that satisfied the artistic craving that you have, right?
Yeah, I wanted to satisfy the artistic as well as the academic craving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So to have an even mix of both was important to me.
That is so cool.
So then how did you evolve that into, because it sounds like, from what I understand, you have two kind of separate things now. You have the training
Mhm.
and the speaking and stuff that you do, and then you also still have the improv
Right.
group.
Well,
Tell me the evolution.
Well, I knew right off the bat that I didn't want to spend my entire career as a stand-up comedian on the road, because that's fine for people who want that. But for me, I wanted to leave something behind. And I wanted that to be more than just, I've played every club in the country.
Right.
So when my business partner, her name is Pamela Main, when we started Stevie Ray's improv company in 1989, we wanted to focus on two things: helping people improve their lives through our training and classes, as well as entertaining. So the two very distinct parts of the company grew out of simply, that's what we wanted to do. The corporate training side of it was not initially on our radar. We have a very strong practice of taking suggestions and running with them. Because we have a one-word business plan at Stevie Ray's. That word is okay. If somebody gives a suggestion, we say, oh, okay. And
I was waiting for that business plan to be yes and.
That's what I was thinking. I thought it was going to be yes and also, but I'm like, that's two words.
That's two words. We got down to one.
Shortened it.
Yep, shortened it.
It was too long.
We also knew throughout our experience with improv is that the history of improv is pretty rich, and it's not only comedy related. Improv was formed in many places around the planet simultaneously, and some of those places were forming the techniques and theories of improvisation not for performance but for communication skills and teamwork and use in the workplace and improving people's personal lives. So when we started Stevie Ray's and started offering classes, we said, let's not market it to actors or comedians. Let's market our classes solely to the non-performing artists, because they were completely unserved in our community at the time. So we were the first in Minneapolis to reach outside and say, this is good for what we call the regular, normal people. Well, they started using these techniques at work like we hoped they would. But then a number of students came back to us and said, why don't you go directly to companies instead of just waiting for individuals to come to you? And we hadn't thought of that, but we said, oh, okay. So we started contacting companies and corporations and organizations and saying, hey, we have these techniques that can really help your people do their job better. You want to see what they're like. And that's kind of how we started in '89 doing the corporate thing. And it quickly grew to be half of our organization. And it's about 90% of what I spend my time doing now. So I still get to marry the two things I love the most, entertaining and teaching.
That's awesome.
That makes perfect sense. You know, I haven't done a whole lot with improv, I'll admit, but I did take a stand-up comedy class last fall, August and September. And not because I had any intentions of becoming a stand-up comedian, but because I wanted to challenge myself, put myself in a really uncomfortable and new environment, and hopefully learn some techniques that I could carry over into other areas of my life. So it's easy for me to see how you could take what you do with improv and use that in all kinds of training, which is making me really excited to experience more at Mobile Beat. You've got a whole lot going on the Thursday of the show. So for those that are here now, while you're watching, listening, knowing that that's going on, or those that, you know, maybe catch this later or couldn't go, what's going on that day? You've got multiple keynotes, a workshop. Tell us about that.
The three different things that I'll be covering will be specifically related to those in the entertainment and event businesses.
Nice.
And a lot of my work actually is based on not only the psychology of communication and influence, but also neuroscience, understanding how somebody else's brain is going to be triggered by what you say. Because professional service providers are the key here. Interacting with clients, marketing yourself, describing what you do, networking, all of those things are different if you're a professional service provider as opposed to somebody who offers a retail product. And this is something
Amen.
there's a lot there that a lot of people aren't taught, is that you cannot use the same language between retail and professional services. You cannot use the same psychology, and you have to speak differently in order to engage the other person. And also, everybody at Mobile Beat is going to be in the same boat. They have to think on the spot to handle on-the-spot issues. If everything's going fine and everybody likes what you do, great. That should be about 80% of the time. What I help people prepare for is that 20%. So we're going to cover subjects like professional networking. How do you really connect with somebody and not be seen as a commodity? Because as soon as that happens, you're simply compared to somebody else's price and you lose. Most people unknowingly put themselves into the commodity category by the way they speak, and they don't even know they're doing it. So it's not going to be, here's how you shake hands and here's how you walk around the room. It's going to be when somebody says, so what do? You have an answer that's going to be engaging. This is going to challenge also some people's previous experience, because I strongly work against having an elevator pitch.
Okay.
Love it.
And this goes counter to what a lot of people are taught, and it's basic psychology. If you have an elevator pitch and you have the same thing prepared, it will not be effective, because every person you encounter will have a different set of needs. How can one elevator pitch satisfy numerous needs of people that you encounter? You have to stay flexible and have an answer that fits that person, which means you have to think on the spot. Not as easy to do, but it's a lot more effective and profitable. We're going to cover networking. We're going to cover thinking on the spot, dealing with difficult situations, the 5 steps of persuasion. Every professional service provider, when they open their mouth, they're trying to persuade somebody. You're either trying to persuade them to hire you, they're trying to persuade them to accept the program you want to give them or the services you have to offer. You're trying to persuade them away from doing something that you know will likely end up in disaster. And the art of persuasion is a very delicate balance, but there are steps you take that the brain accepts your message more easily. My afternoon workshop is going to be completely different. It's going to be how to lead a team. Teamwork and leadership are crucial if you want your business to grow. If you want to sit in your office by yourself and just run your own business, don't come to that workshop. But if you want to have a team that helps your business get bigger and more profitable, then you need to know how to work a team so they remain productive. And that's going to be the afternoon workshop.
Awesome.
Great content. I know I was inspired to take a stand-up boot camp from you, seeing you back in 2009. I was inspired to take a stand-up boot camp, which I did with different comedians, Kyle Cease and Louis Anderson, when they came to Minneapolis area a while back. I'm dating myself now, 2000, I don't remember what it was, but it was awesome. And so I thank you for that inspiration.
Oh, cool.
And the articles and everything you've been involved in over the years in the disc jockey profession, if you will. You've had different things, different places, and just can't thank you enough for that, Stevie. And we're looking forward to seeing you at Mobile Beat here in Las Vegas. It's going to be awesome.
I have to admit, I'm really excited about not presenting this year. I'm sure, Mitch, you're probably feeling the same way.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way.
Because we both this year just get to go and be there, be present, listen, learn, take notes, ask questions, focus on meeting people and learning. And I'm really excited to do that. I'm, as one that offers continuing education for professionals, I think it's important for us to do that. And I'm really excited to hear the full length of what you have to share.
Yeah, I love working working with professional service providers, especially because they have a whole different world that they live in, and it's what I do. So we can really connect on that level. So
I'm going to ask a final question. I think, Stevie, where do you draw inspiration from? To keep actually, yourself?
What's interesting for me, I engage in a lot of different things. I've been a martial artist for over 40 years. So continuing to perfect what I do there is a challenge as I get older and the other students keep getting younger. So it keeps me sharp. I'm also a volunteer for recording books on tape for the blind. And the interesting thing about that is I choose to read for them only nonfiction. So it forces me to read books I would never pick up myself.
Otherwise, yeah.
I get sent these books in the mail, and I spend weeks recording the book, and I come away with it knowing something I didn't know before. And that's a key thing, is professional service providers can get intellectually lazy because they know what they know, they stick with it, and they look for processes instead of knowledge. And for me, continually doing your homework is crucial. So that's where I draw inspiration.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast, Stevie. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. It's been really fun.
Wow, what a great interview we had with Stevie Ray.
So fun. I'm sure we could have shared stories with you. He could have shared stories with us for hours and lessons, but yeah, so fun.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing what he delivers at Mobile Beat. And if you haven't got plans Thursday afternoon, I strongly encourage you to jump in his workshop if you want to better learn how to lead your team. This is a man who is very talented at many different facets of business, of life, and just rubbing elbows and learning from him in any capacity. It's going to be well worth your time.
Yeah.
Well worth your time. So that's it for Creating Connections Podcast, episode 153. I'm Mitch Taylor.
And I'm Vicki Musney.
We provide personal solutions through understanding people. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for listening to the Creating Connections Podcast with Gittimer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor and Certified Personality Trainer Vicki Musney. For more information on providing personal solutions through understanding people better, visit creatingconnections.biz.